I kind of don't want to tell this story. It's particularly painful. It's about the loss of a very dear family member, and maybe you can relate. I have a cousin, and he thought that his son was retarded. As it turned out, he was just deaf in one ear. They gave him an ear implant, that fixed him up. Now he's just a regular boy. But at the time, everybody thought that he was retarded. And I remember the little boy was at my house for some birthday party, and my cousin and his son are up in one of the bedrooms playing Turok 2 multiplayer and having a blast. And I remember my cousin saying, "You know, Smedge McKing, it's not easy raising a retarded kid. I try to talk to him and it's like nothing's happening, but we play these games and it's like we're a family again." And I looked at him and I was like, "Man, you know what? You just take the Nintendo 64, you take all the games, that's a gift for you, and you just have fun with your son." And for a year, I would see my cousin at birthday parties, I would see him at weddings, and he'd say, "Oh, me and my son, we had a great time. We played Majora's Mask. We played Episode 1 Pod Racing. We played Quake 2. We had lots of fun. Thank you so much." And one day I get a phone call from my cousin saying, "Oh, hey, Smidge McKing, we finally beat all the games. I got a promotion at work. I'm going to buy the kids the Wii. Why don't you come by on Sunday and pick up all your games?" On Saturday, my cousin's hot water heater explodes. He just stepped out of the house with his kids to go down the road to the park just before it happened. And I remember getting the news. And all I remember thinking is, "Motherfucker, my Nintendo 64 with the ROM expansion slot, the 5 controllers, not 4, 5 motherfucker, 5 memory cards, 5 rumble packs. One of them controllers was a limited edition red controller, one was a semi-transparent purple controller. You can't buy them things anymore, and about 50 goddamn games that I cannot emulate." And I remember going to that motherfucker's new house and him showing me around and going, "Oh look, my couch burned up. They bought me a new couch with the money that I got from the insurance company. Oh look, my shitty old TV burned up. They bought me a new TV with the money I got from the insurance company." But I could have said, "What about the money you got for that beautiful, wonderful Nintendo 64? And I was gonna pop his fucking head off like a cork. And I did not say it, because at the time we did not know that the boy's son was not retarded and that he was only deaf. So I was like, you know what? God works in mysterious ways. It's been taken care of. So let's start this story at the end. I am banned from Univision, from all their buildings. I don't even think I could subscribe to them on cable if I tried at this point. Now, for those of you who don't know, Univision is a Spanish language television channel that also has a radio and an online presence. You see, about 2 weeks ago, I was looking for an hourly job. I do mostly contract work, and my current contracts are about to expire, so I've been looking for like a 4-day-a-week, 9-to-5 kind of deal. And a friend of mine told me that Univision was hiring, and I said, "They're not gonna hire me at Univision. I'm not a Mexican. I have a soul. I don't speak Spanish, I speak words, okay?" And my friend said, "Smedge McKing, you're just being a racist asshole. What's wrong with you? They hire people who ain't Mexicans." So just for fun, I filled out an online application and I submitted it. I didn't hear shit back from them for 2 weeks. So just for funsies, I took the exact same submission I did before, and the only thing that I changed when I resubmitted it was I put my race as biracial and Hispanic. They called me 20 minutes later. So the next day I drive down to the Univision building and I buzz the door to get let in, and the lady's looking at me through the security monitor and she's like, "Are you sure you're at the right building?" And I said, "Yes, I'm supposed to be here. I have an interview." And she got very, very nervous looking. And she said, "Oh, okay," and she buzzed me in. And I waited in the waiting area for about 30 minutes. And the entire time I'm waiting, people are peeking out of their offices very nervous, looking at this white fella in a 3-piece suit with a tie. And just for funsies, just on purpose, I put a very thick wallet in my front coat pocket, which kind of made it look like I was carrying a badge, but I'll get to that later. So eventually somebody comes out and escorts me to the interview room where I meet the boss. And she's looking at me like, is this guy really Hispanic? Because Hispanic could mean lots of things. You could be Mexican or Cuban or from Spain, and the Spanish, they're basically just smelly white people. So we have the interview with very basic stuff. I was extremely qualified for the position. Here's where things fall apart. As I walked into the building, everybody was in an office or out for lunch. As I'm leaving, everybody's come back in. It becomes apparent that the Smedgma King is the only non-Mexican in the entire building. And the woman escorting me out says, you know, I was listening in on your interview from the next room over, and you're just so qualified and you were so charming, there's no way you're not going to get the job. And I looked at her and I said, come on now. You look around and you tell me there's no way I'm not going to get this job? And she says, well, okay, you're not going to get the job. I'm going to be honest with you. You're not going to get it. It's going to go to a Mexican. And now I'm the kind of person that I don't just like to have things fail. If something's not going to work, I need it to crash and burn. So I turned to her and I said, that's okay. I'm glad you were honest with me. I got to be honest too. I'm not actually here for the interview. And then everybody around, they just perk up. They look up from the sombreros. They look up from their little beans or something. And I say, I'm here with ice. All you motherfuckers get on the ground. Fill out your green cards. Don't say a fucking thing. And you'd think, oh, security's gonna come and escort me out. No. Literally every person in the fucking Univision building drops their fucking beans, drops their sombreros, drops their little whiskey with the worm at the bottom of the bottle, and they sprint out of there. And I was literally the only person left in the office. So I walked over to the refrigerator and I took everybody's lunch. I went home with like 50 different types of burritos. I was on the toilet the rest of the night, but I didn't care. It was delicious. Okay, to start, this is not a review of Final Fantasy X-2. I just want to talk about it for a minute because I ran into a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in 10 years, and he was really, really mad at me, and I couldn't figure out why until I remembered what happened with Final Fantasy X-2, and I'm going to explain what happened, and you can tell me at the end whether I was an asshole or not. It was my friend's 16th birthday party, and he wanted Final Fantasy X-2, which, as I knew, and as you probably know, is a really bad game that has the single most embarrassing opening cinematic in video game history. So being the good friend I am, I don't get him that budget piece of shit. I get him Silent Hill 3, baby. That game is fucking great. So this boy invites me over, and the first thing I see is his old ass, cunty ass Jewish grandma who hates my guts because the previous year at his sister's birthday, I took the face off of the face cake and I was like, hey, look at this, you fat bitch, we're making out, blah, 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 blah. Isn't it funny? I'm making out with a picture of you, but not the real you because the real you disgusts me and I'll only let you touch my penis through a hole in a wall. And that old bitch, she called me and she's like, you gotta pay for that. That's a $20 face cake. I was gonna put that in the freezer and save it. I was like, are you out of your mind? Do you really expect for me to give you money to repay a thing that was gonna go into somebody's mouth, into their belly, and out of their butthole? And she said, yes, give me $50. And I said, you said it was $20 a second ago. And she said, give me my $60, you goy piece of shit. So we did not get along. I brushed right past this crusty old pyramid construction worker and I put my gift on the table, and my friend sees that I've brought a DVD-shaped box and he's like, okay everybody, it's present time. Before he can grab my game, his grandmother comes over and gives him an unwrapped copy of Final Fantasy X-2, and she says, I know how much you wanted this, why don't you play it right now? And I came up to my friend and I gave him the goon arm. I grabbed him right by the elbow and I was like, you do not want to play this in front of people. And he's like, what do you mean? His grandma said, don't listen to that filthy goy. You play that game. And he's putting in the disc. And I'm like, don't do it, man. Don't do it. And people are gathering around. And I'm just, no, don't do it. And his grandma looked at me and she said, shut the hell up. I'll pay good money for that game. My grandson's gonna play it. And suddenly I realized that everything that was about to happen would technically be her fault. So I looked at my friend and smiled, and he smiled back at me. And I said, you know what, boy, you play that game. This boy boots up the game, and his grandparents, and his parents, and all of his friends, and the girl that he liked, that did not like him back after this. And they see a bunch of anime girls in panties singing the gayest fucking theme music while dancing around And I just look at my friend Josh and his smile is gone. And he's got the cold sweats. And he's looking dead ahead like a horse going through Central Park. And I just start laughing. And this boy grandma looks at me. And she's so red in the face and angry that I start laughing even harder. And she starts grabbing my arm. And I'm laughing even harder. And I look at her. And she's grabbing me with both hands. And she falls forward. And she claws me up. And I'm laughing in her face. And then suddenly I realize, oh, she's not angry at me. She's dying. So look, I may have caused my friend's grandmother to die of a heart attack while I laughed in her face, and everybody that he knew or cared about saw him play an anime jerk-off game. But on my defense, it was really, really funny, and I think that I should be forgiven. What do you think? So I almost got into a fight today for the first time in like 12 years. I was walking my dog. She's a beautiful 8-year-old German Shepherd, and we're coming out of the woods into a clearing. There was a hayride going on, and these two little kids come running out of the crowd and they're saying, "Can we pet your dog?" And of course they're already petting her. And their mother comes running out of the crowd and she's apologizing. And before I can say it's no big deal, her husband comes stomping out of the crowd and he gets in my face talking about, "How dare you bring that dog here of all places? Can't you see how scared my children are of this animal? What the fuck is wrong with you? I ought to beat your ass." He had on the golden chain with the Italian horns on it. So I look at him and I say, I think the problem that you're really having here is not so much my dog, but that you're a Jewish guy pretending to be Italian. Now, of course, this really sets him off. He's going, "Whoa, dog, you better bounce, G. I'm a real Italian motherfucker. My parents came off the boat, home slice." I'm like, whoa. First you're a Jew, then you're Italian, now you're talking like a black guy. What are you gonna do? Start talking Chinese and do karate at me next? And this guy puts up his dukes and he's saying that he's gonna kick my ass. But he's not turned facing me, he is turned facing my dog. And obviously, it's not his children that are scared of my dogs like he's trying to say. He's the one scared of the dog. Now, I don't know if he had a bad experience with a police dog, or if he got fucked in the ass by Rin Tin Tin. That's really his problem, not mine. And I say to him, "Look here, boy. I'm gonna give you to the count of 3 to get the fuck out of my face, or I'm gonna let this dog off the leash." And I go, 1! And he turns back, and I go, 2! And he's running. And I go, 3! And I drop the dog's leash, and he's halfway across the field looking back, feeling like a stupid asshole, while his kids are petting my dog and she's licking their face after eating a cat poop earlier in the day. I had an especially stanky Christmas this year. First thing in the morning, I go to walk my dog. Like me, she does not like to poop inside, so I take her for a nice long walk. We're cutting through the woods. We're going through this condo area as we're heading on down to the dog park. And just at the end of the condos, right between the dog park and the dumpster for the dog park, my dog decides, I gotta drop a log. So okay, she's dropping some poop. I'm taking out my plastic bag to pick it up, when suddenly from behind me I hear beep, 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 beep. And in a split second, I first thought, is this person honking at me? And my second thought was, that can't even be possible. It's Christmas morning. They're just trying to honk at somebody in the house to get them to come out, right? Wrong. As I am picking up the dog turd in the bag, and I'm holding it in my hand and feeling that wonderful stanky warmth, I hear from behind me, "You know it doesn't matter if you pick it up, because there are still particulates of dog feces, and when I come out here at night to smoke my cigarettes, I don't need your dog shit all over my fucking feet." Now let me just point out, I didn't leave a drop of feces on the ground. This woman was just arguing with me for the sake of having an argument. And look, I could have cursed at her, I could have made fun of her, but that's what she wanted. And I was going to give a lot of presents that Christmas morning, and I was not going to make one of them an argument with this old bat. So I spin around and I say to this woman, "Madam, I don't know if you're aware, but it is 8 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Day. People are in their houses right now celebrating the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. If you would be so kind, could you cut out the screaming and the foul language, because people are watching you from the windows?" And she goes, I don't give a good goddamn about the birth of Jesus Christ. You know, the wise men brought him frankincense and myrrh, not dog shit, you motherfucker. And I'm looking closer at this woman and I realize she's in a bathrobe and the front's kind of hanging open. And I can kind of see a little bit of her vagina. And it looks a little bit like somebody took 2 leather purse straps and tossed them in the ocean for 50 years and they just washed ashore all soggy and frayed. And I go, okay, well you have a nice time. I throw the dog doo into the dumpster, and I go to the dog park. A little while later, I drive down to my grandma's house. I get some nice doodles from my nephews and nieces, and also one fan who sent me this copy of Portal and asked me to use it in my next story. So I hope this makes you happy, you little retarded asshole. So I pack up my dog and my presents, and I drive on down to my grandma's house. And I'm giving great gifts. Everybody is, oh, it's so nice, it's so thoughtful. Last Christmas, I was at my grandma's house, and my little brother, who I hadn't seen in months, comes up to me and we're wrestling around and we bump into a shelf, and we knock over one of these little Hummel figurines. Let me tell you about motherfucking Hummels. They are 6 inches tall, and they must be worth about $50 an inch. Because my grandma comes out, she sees that we snapped the bow off the top of one of these Hummels, and she was just very quiet, very reserved, but I could tell that she wanted to cry. And so this year, she's unwrapping her present from me, thinking it's just going to be some piece of shit like I usually get her. And there she sees a brand new, well, as new as an 80-year-old Hummer figurine can be. And she better have fucking liked it, because that shit is not cheap, especially considering they say it's made of porcelain, but given that it was made in Germany in the 1940s, it's probably made with crushed up Jews' teeth. And everybody's having a wonderful, beautiful Christmas. I watch A Christmas Story 5 or 6 times. I'm throwing a football around with the little kids. And I completely forgot about that old crazy bitch with the dog dude. Until I get home and I remember, oh, as late as it is, I still need to walk my dog. So we suit up, her in her collar, me in my coat. We go walking out the back door through the woods, through the condo development towards the dog park, when I see under the streetlight, an amazing miracle has occurred. Apparently, one of the neighbors of that crazy old lady is tired of her and all of her bullshit. They took a red ribbon and put it right on top of a fresh dog doo-doo. Now, it being Christmas and me being in a nice, wonderful mood, I think to myself, I know what I'll do. As evil as this old bitch is, I will pick up the dog doo with one of my bags and I'll throw it out. Well, unfortunately, just as I'm getting the bag out of my pocket, this crazy old bitch comes running out of her front door. And she's got a grabber arm with her, and she's swinging it around like she's gonna hit me with it. And she's like, I knew you put that dog doo there. You came back to laugh at me. I've been watching that dog doo for hours, waiting for you to come back, you motherfucker. And as she says it, she steps in the dog doo. And she slides across the grass like Tom Cruise in the movie Risky Business. And her robe slides up her back and she gets dog shit and mud all over her ass and floopy vagina. And I'm thinking, I could stay here and help her get to her feet, maybe call an ambulance. But then I thought, I could just leave because she doesn't know my name and she's probably so crazy, she'll forget about this the next day. And as it turns out, yes, she did. A couple of days later, I'm walking across the same lot. This woman apparently took her medication that day, and she's telling me about some Puerto Rican guy who came up to her yard and was giving her a hard time while his dog was pooping all over the place. Except for in this version of the story, she hit the guy with his grabber arm and he ran off. So as dark as life can get, as hopeless as it might seem, remember that Christmas miracles do happen. It is not the doo-doo that you do, it's when you do the doo-doo that you do what you do. When you do what you're doing, that does what you do. And that's what matters. Thanks for your time, and have a merry... Actually, Christmas was like 2 weeks ago. Have a nice day in general, and a wonderful, especially stanky 2017.